Morning, everyone. After a very detailed talk by Sri Pancheri, I think it's an eye-opener of the different kinds of challenges we face in different parts of the world, and I think that's true for within India. So I'll be taking the case of a very specific context, which is in the context of Karnataka, where multiple urban systems have already been implemented. And therefore, what I'll be talking about is a layer on top of those urban systems which will significantly enhance the value of the systems that have already been put into place. And what I'm going to share today is being co-developed by with Mr. Rajiv Chawla, who was also the architect of Bhumi. So just to step back as to what we're talking about, we see that technology is opening up new models of doing business. And I'm talking about the business of governance. And those models include new business models for the government, new operational models, new financial models, and new technology models, which is leading to participative governance. And I'll be taking one such example, which is using such new models and technological models for managing land records and property. So significance of land and property cannot be ever overestimated. It's extremely critical. Land is a very significant part of a state's wealth. Any increase in efficiency of land and property transaction will have a considerable impact on state GDP, and this has been stated umpteen number of times, right from the McKinsey study to study by FICCI, by CII, and so on and so forth. So some of the estimates say that it will lead to about 1 to 1.5% addition to the national GDP. Land is a key inherited wealth, and therefore the process of handling land fragmentation needs to be sorted out. Whenever there is land which is inherited, it's inherited by multiple people, and therefore in rural areas it leads to fragmentation of the land, which is very difficult to manage, difficult to process, and also has its impact on agricultural productivity. Also, please keep in mind that primary source of income in rural areas still continues to be land. So what are the issues with land and property transactions? The land and property transactions are broker driven. There are significant brokerages and significant market manipulation because there is no transparency of information. The principle of Keynesian economics and free market is that information will be freely available. That principle assumption is not valid in case of market for the land and property in India. There's non-transparent market, there's distressed sale and purchase, and therefore which also leads to manipulation of the prices. There's very limited liquidity. And therefore, if you need cash at any point in time, and if your wealth is trapped in land and property, it's very difficult to encash that particular wealth. And then finally, we have a deed-based system rather than a title-based system, which means that property can be sold multiple times based on the deed. I don't know if you understand what deed-based system. Essentially, you own the land because a piece of paper says so. And that piece of paper is valid because a piece of paper says that the previous piece of paper which said the previous owner owns it, that has to be valid. So if you're buying land which has got land records from Raja Todamal's time, then for the last 400 years you need to have all the deeds in place. So if you're in Karnataka, you need to be conversant with the Mudi language, which is a dead language, because the land records are written in a dead language, and you can't throw that away, otherwise a new deed has got no value. And that's what the deed-based system is. What globally people are moving towards is a title-based system, wherein once the land is put into your name, you own it. It's in your name, irrespective of what the previous deed was and so on. And therefore what happens is that when the paper goes into a registration system, which is very finely crafted by the British, because once you register, that's when you pay the taxes. After that, whether the property is actually in your name or not, which is the mutation part of it, was not the concern of the previous regime. And therefore, between the time of registration and actual mutation, the property can be sold merrily quite a few number of times. Because the registration system doesn't go and check whether the mutation has happened or not. They're independent. Because all that the registration checks for is that are you paying the taxes or not. If you're willing to come back for the same property and pay more taxes, so be it. So here is an article that Sri Rajiv Chawla and I had written in Economic Times, and that basically explains the entire concept that I'm going to present today. So what is electronic land and property exchange? Provide an online system for buying and selling land and property. It's akin to a stock market. If the stock market can efficiently handle millions and millions of rupees worth of transaction on a daily basis, why can't we have the same thing for land records? Why can't you go online, click and say, here is the property I want, here is the money that I have to pay. I also choose the bank from which I'll take the loan and connect my own bank to pay the rest of the money. Click on the transaction button and automatically my registration mutation happens and I own the land. In addition, I don't know how many of you have been following the SARFAESI Act, which is essentially a Central Asset Registry Act, which will keep track of all assets for which a loan has been given, so that you don't take the same asset and go to another bank and take another loan. Now, if you look at the SARFAESI Central Registry System, along with the land system that we're talking about, it's a no-brainer that the two of them have to be connected. So the moment you do this clicking business and you pay for the property or land that you're buying, automatically should go and get updated in the central registry that has been created under the SARFAESI Act. And that links the sale deed registration with mutation. It retrofits a solution on top of existing computerization efforts of land records, such as Bhoomi and Kaveri and so on. And ensures that at least new urban properties follow the system. Why is that? Because the old existing properties have a lot of problem. Much of the property is embroiled in the issue of whether the deed is clean or not, whether there are competing claims on the land and so on. To the extent that even if the previous deed is clean, but one of your relatives comes and claims that I helped buy this property by giving out a loan of 20,000 rupees, under the Indian codes that's a valid claim, even if there is no paperwork to it. And therefore, even if you have a deed of paper saying that it's your property, it still isn't your property. So what is a clean property, quote unquote, is anybody's guess. And which is why doing a property transaction is such a big problem. And therefore, when we start with a new system, we can at least bring the new properties onto this and ensure that they have a clean deed from that point onwards. So how does the land and property records management in Karnataka work? Essentially, there are three sections. There's a land record section, which is responsible for managing the ownership, the record of rights, the tenancy and crops, which is right to cropping, the ownership record of non-agricultural land and property. Then you have the registration section, which is registering all transactions that happens in land and property into public record, and the survey section, which is managing spatial and other non-spatial data about land. So these are three different departments which have an interplay. And obviously there are two kinds of property. There's agricultural and non-agricultural urban property. And the two of them need to be handled very, very differently. I'll skip the agricultural part because we're focusing on urban infrastructure for today. But essentially are similar. There's request for a pre-mutation sketch, which is handled by Mojini in the agricultural land. In the non-agricultural urban land, it's done by the urban property ownership record system. Then it goes to a registration system, which is Kaveri, which is where you pay your taxes, and then it goes to the Bhoomi system, which is where the mutation happens. Without going into details, essentially the four major steps are: agreement to sell is reached with or without a sale deed. The seller and buyer get together through a broker, and there's a pre-mutation sketch that is made, which is then transferred to, which is then brought to the registration system, which is then brought to the mutation system. There are details of how the pre-mutation sketch is done. I will not bore you with those details. If you're ever interested, you can come back to me. And then the same is the case with the sale deed. There is a detailed process of how the sale deed is registered. And then there's a detailed process of how the mutation is done. So what is the implication if you convert all of this into an online system where you don't need to visit the office at all? There's a pressure on the legal infrastructure, and that eases out. The pressure is because of the large number of civil suits that are based on the land records. As per one of the estimates, 70% of the cases in the Indian courts is because of land and property issues. So the Bhoomi project and reforms improve the quality of land records. So that was a big step forward. However, land and property transaction management continues to be a largely archaic process with very little process reforms. So what Bhoomi did was cleaned up one part of the system, but it's still built on a foundation which is very archaic, which is still built on a foundation laid out by the British, which is focused more on revenue collection than in providing governance. And therefore, land and property transactions management continues to be a significant source of litigation in the courts. There is also significant socio-economic impact. The suboptimally governed land and property systems leads to considerable hardship by the rural and urban citizens. And all of us who might have gone through a transaction would realize what those hardships are.